I've got an amazing treat for you here today. I'm exposing the fake fantasy football rankings that everybody in the industry is feeding you every single year, all the lies. You get lied to every year. And I'm going to tell you how to actually get the edge and shift your mindset and actually win your leagues in this video. And at the end of the video, just because I'm going to share with you two amazing sleepers that everybody's sleeping on, and they've got other players ranked ahead of them when these guys are going to finish well above those players. So exposing the industry, telling you how to overcome it and how to think outside the box, not what everybody's feeding you, and two sleepers, a bonus for you. If you are new to the channel, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. The only channel telling you the truth, telling you what everybody else is not telling you. Hit the thumbs up, smash that thumbs up. I want to really get this message out because I think it's not fair. That's the reason I got into this industry, because it's not fair, the BS that people are teaching you. They're lying to you every single year. I'm going to prove it to you guys in this episode, okay? So hit the thumbs up, drop a comment below, and let me know. Let me know if you guys have been screwed by the mainstream. I want to really, really get this out there, expose everybody. Now, with me and my picks, sometimes, I tell you certain players I'm really high on. Last year, Zamir White didn't do well. Keon Coleman, those were my Achilles heels. But for every two I get wrong, there's like 10 I get right. So I'm totally good with like telling you last year, grab Ladd McConkey and Brian Thomas, make sure that they're your top wide receivers. And I'm going to show you where they were ranked last year. Nobody's going to get it 100% right, but as long as you are not doing this, you'll be light years ahead of everybody. So let's talk about last year and what everybody fed you. Now you're saying, well, Joe, nobody buys magazines anymore. Believe it or not, they do. But not only that, every podcast that you listen to, every analyst that you listen to, everywhere you listen to, every radio station you listen to is going by the same guideline. The only thing that differs from this is my 16-round draft. So if you haven't got it, click below, use code WIN. You'll never look back at this. So let me give you an example last year where I was screaming at the top of my lungs and people continued not to listen or doubted it. Last year, Christian Kirk, I want to show you guys this, was ranked 57th. And I was telling everybody, don't draft Christian Kirk. Sorry, 27th was Christian Kirk, as you can see here. And by the way, look who's on the cover. It's Christian McCaffrey. So I was telling everybody, hey man, do not draft Christian Kirk. Get Brian Thomas Jr. On every rankings, every place I saw, Christian Kirk was ranked ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. It was like clockwork. I was telling you, fade Christian Kirk, draft Brian Thomas. And as you can see here, this is proof. I want to show proof. There's Brian Thomas Jr. ranked 59th. And actually, he's literally the last wide receiver they list here, okay, because this is the last wide receiver. Literally the last one, because after this it doesn't continue. It goes into, oh, sorry, I apologize. Keon Coleman was the last one at 60 here. So that's where it stopped. And like Brian Thomas was 59. They had Kirk ahead of him. And the reason I'm showing you this is because it's happening again this year. I've got a new one here, right? And the reason I got this is just to show you. There's a ton of players that have a ton of upside. Example, Trey Harris, there's a sleeper for you. And he's literally ranked last amongst wide receivers. He's like ranked 59th. I'm going to pull it up in a second here. So why are you telling me this, Joe? Why are you showing me this? It's because these guys are so brazen. They have no shame. They're not coming out and saying, hey, man, I apologize for last year telling you Christian McCaffrey first overall, Christian Kirk ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. Hey, I apologize. They're not doing that. There's Trey Harris right here, who's essentially going to be the wide receiver one. He's ranked 68th this year. Remember that. Okay, he is the top wide receiver, the ex-receiver to Justin Herbert. Quentin Johnson didn't get it done. Ladd McConkey last year did well by default because he was like the only guy there. So this is what's going on every single year. It's copy and paste. So if CMC was number one last year, right? This was their golden boy. I told you don't draft. Everybody said put Joe in a straitjacket. Why aren't you drafting Christian McCaffrey? I said because a decline year is imminent. He just got married, Super Bowl hangover, pinnacle years, multiple pinnacle years. He was going to decline, but he was on the cover. He was on every podcast as the number one consensus. And I was telling you, don't do it. Don't draft. The only one telling you, right? So I looked to myself and I thought, hey, if they loved Christian McCaffrey last year, where is he sitting this year? And there he is at 7. So he's had a significant drop off here. And look who's number one. Barkley. Why is Barkley number one? Well, Because he finished on top last year. So I'm giving you example. This is right in your face, right here. And I'm trying to tell you that every podcast, every analyst is doing this. This is the reason I got into this. This is the reason I'm number one. This is the reason why people get 16 rounds, because they're fed up with this. Again, it's not just the magazine. It's not, right? It's everybody doing this. So what do we do? How do we shift our mindset not to follow this? Again, I'll give you more examples. Look at this. Breece Hall, number 2, right? Jonathan Taylor, number 4. And it just this was from last year. When you look at wide receivers, right? It's ridiculous. It's so fun. Let's go through a couple more here that are hilarious. It's just, now they're like, and they don't apologize. They don't say, hey, you know what? We're sorry. We copied and pasted. We're not going to do it again, right? Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, that's fine. These are top receivers. Receivers, you don't get as much, up and down. You get Deebo Samuel, number 9. This was a good one right here. Everybody was drafting Deebo Samuel round 3. See? Deebo Samuel. And what the funny thing is, Ayuk was not too far behind. I'm like, you guys don't even know who the 1 is. What are you doing? Right? So where's Ayuk? He's not there. He's not number 12. Ayuk right there. This was last year. And I said, don't draft Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. They're going to crap the bed. But this is hilarious. And then T. Higgins was 28 last year. Why was T. Higgins 28 last year? Because he busted the year before. He played 12 games, finished 51st. Now they're riding T. Higgins again, right? So, guys, I get this. I pay for this so you don't have to. I get one of these just as a social proof, right? To show you guys that this is BS. It's not how you get in when you leave. So what do? First and foremost, you got to get the 60-round draft. So this is a shameless plug because it actually works. I filter out all of the nonsense and give you the optimal players to draft. That's number one thing you got to do. Once you do that, you don't even have to listen to any other video because I give you all the answers there. Ironclad roster. In fact, use code WIN to save. Grab below. But if you want to do this on your own, if you want to kind of figure things out, how do you logically do this? And again, stay to the end. I'm going to give you guys 2 sleepers. How do you do this? Well, simple. You got to take a look at the depth chart and say to myself, okay, when I have a saying called years to wow me, I'm not wowed. That is a real thing. When I say years to wow me, I'm not wowed, that is a real thing. So when I say a player's had years to wow me, I'm not wowed, there's a reason. Christian Kirk, I'm going to keep picking on Christian Kirk last year because everyone's telling you to draft him ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. It was everywhere, every podcast, right? So you got to look, has Christian Kirk been amazing? Not really. Okay, who did they draft? Brian Thomas Jr., high draft capital, round 1, round 2 pick, right? They drafted a guy who's ultra elite in college. They drafted him with high draft capital. Christian Kirk has had years to wow me. I'm not wowed. Maybe, just maybe, there's an opportunity. I'm not saying all these guys are going to hit, but if you wait on wide receiver, for example, and you stack 5 or 6 of them, 2 of them are going to hit. That's what I did last year. I stacked a bunch of them. Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr. hit. Amazing. Now they're coming off round 1 and 2. This year, I'm not drafting Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey round 1 and 2 consecutively. Ladd's coming off 2. Brian's coming off round 1. I'm on to the next thing, right? Like, because their situations actually got worse. Trey Harris, top receiver, ex-receiver, high draft capital, comes in, becomes the true one. The reason I was all over Ladd last year, the only one telling you don't be a donkey, draft Ladd McConkey, there's a whole saying behind it. The reason I did that is because, like, by default, there was nobody else there. So I was like, man, this is amazing. Quentin Johnson sucks. Like, we kind of know this. Why not go for Ladd McConkey and I can get him round 8 to 9? Are you kidding me? And he's ranked way low in these rankings. He's like way down here. Why not get Ladd McConkey? And the same thing with Brian Thomas Jr. Like, the situation was amazing. So what I'm trying to say is this year, let's find this year's, and I do this in the 60 round. Look at this. Look, Malik Neighbors, 32nd. I was telling you guys secure him, right? 32nd. This is last year. It's just a joke, man. It's an absolute joke. Where was Ladd McConkey last year? So this year, you got to find the next one. There's Brian Thomas Jr. again, 59 last year. And I think Ladd was just ahead of him a little bit more on these sheep rankings. So you guys get the picture, right? I don't want to, keep dragging this on here. Ladd McConkey was 41. You can see it right here. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make here is that you got to project forward, skate to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck currently is, okay? That's the biggest thing. Look at the depth chart. Has things changed? Example, Brock Bowers. Everybody's on Brock Bowers this year, right? He was a value last year. Nobody was on him, right? He's a top tight end last year. I don't know where, I'm not going to pull it up, but he's probably like tight end 30 last year, right? Why did Brock Bowers do well? By default. now there's a new quarterback. They've got Genty for more checkdowns. They drafted a couple great wide receivers, potentially great wide receivers, right? That could really, really shine that offense. Geno Smith, new quarterback. It's a totally different situation. And you guys are everyone's acting like Brock Bowers is going to do the exact same thing he did last year. Not the case. A new scenario, new situation, okay? So think outside the box. So who are 2 sleepers this year that I absolutely love? I'm going to share that with you. In fact, actually, I'm going to give you 2 of them. There's a bunch of them, man. Again, 16 rounds for all of them. So one of them isn't even in this. Like, I look at the wide receiver, so it's a deep sleeper, but the guy could actually be a wide receiver 1 on his team. He's not even in this new magazine. I think it cuts off at like 50 wide receiver. Where does it cut off? It cuts off at 70, and Trey Harris is wide receiver. Look, it goes from 70 here, you can see, right? And it goes right to tight ends, right? So, by the way, there's so many sleeper tight ends this year, man. It's just going to be awesome. Just stack a bunch of them. I've been stacking a bunch of them in best ball. So he's not even on here. But the guy I'm talking about, one of the sleepers, is Dante Thornton. Thornton, Thornton. Dante Thornton, already impressing, playing with first team reps. Quick, agile, off the line. He's big guy. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", 214. He's a rare size and speed combination, solid hands. So think of Martavis Bryant, but way more polished, better hands, right? Martavis Bryant back in the day. So Deontay Thornton, Raiders. There's nobody else there. Jacoby Myers is not a true 1. So all I'm saying, grab him with the last pick. There's an opportunity there. Another sleeper, and this just blows my mind. It blows my mind where he's sitting. I'll tell you where he's sitting. He's a running back here. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Does this make sense to you? I don't want you guys to be taken advantage of. That's why I got into this, because I want people to actually win their leagues, okay? Where is he sitting here? The guy I'm talking about here, I don't care. I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, is Caleb Johnson. There he is. Running back 38. This guy is the true workhorse. And they've actually got, this is hilarious, Jaylen Warren at 25. Ranked ahead of him. Jaylen Warren had only 120 attempts last year, behind crappy Najee Harris. That's all I got to say. He couldn't beat Najee Harris for the starting job. And if they believe that he is the workhorse, he is the guy, Warren, they wouldn't have drafted Caleb Johnson, the top running back prospect. I can't believe they got him in round 3. Amazing stuff. So, oh, Joe, he's wearing the Steelers hat. Listen, I wear different hats. I don't have a team. I go for where my fantasy players are. I'm huge on Caleb Johnson this year. I'm wearing a Steelers hat. I got some Genty stock. I'm wearing a Raiders hat. That's just how it is. So don't fall for the BS. Look, again, no shame. These guys have no shame. No apologies. Right? The Christian McCaffrey, everybody had him at the top 10. I didn't even include Christian McCaffrey in my top 10 rankings. Okay? Does this make sense? Start thinking outside the box. Look at this depth chart and say, hey, you know what? It doesn't make sense. It's this player like Jacoby Myers. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. Who's stepping in? Okay, Jack Besh. That's an interesting sleeper. I'll get him. And you can get Besh and you can get Thornton for free. For free. You get Trey Harris pretty much for free. Right? Pat Bryant, another one. Broncos. There's another sleeper for you. For free. Right? And I'm not going to give you all the sleepers, but guys, you got to start thinking, right? Like last year, the Broncos, like Cortland Sutton, he's 30 years old. I think it's a contract year, but he's not that good. Let's be honest. He kind of came alive at the end of the season. Bo Nix and him are connecting, but they got no one else there. I heard that Mims is going to be catching, punting, punt returns. Mims. Troy Franklin didn't do much, right? Brian comes in. There might be something there. Stash him, right? Like, start thinking. Don't just look at the rankings, okay? And if you are looking at the rankings, based on ADP, don't draft T. Higgins round 2, a guy that peaks at 110 targets. That's all he's going to get. He's not going to hit the ceiling. His ceiling is low because they got a better receiver there. Go for the guys that could be the one. Example, Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey last year, and those guys' situations have changed. They were great in round 9 and 10 or whatever they're coming off, 8 to 9. Now, I'm not spending a first and second pick for guys that are in worse situations with the addition of Travis Hunter in Jacksonville, with the addition of Trey Harris now. Guys that are potentially even better receivers than the guys that are there. Think, guys. Make sure that gap between the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 is massive, and make sure you get the guy on top. Does that make sense? Simple tip. All right, if you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, hit the thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think of this this feedback. You're the only guy telling you the truth. Why aren't people talking about this? I'm in the car waiting for my kids' tennis lessons. Okay, go smash thumbs up, get 16 rounds. I'm telling you, you'll leave the sheep behind. All right. Hopefully this helped. Open up some eyes, guys. Subscribe, turn on the bell, stay glued to this channel, follow on social, get immersed. I'm going to share the passion with you guys and do it the right way with the truth. Subscribe, thumbs up, have yourself an outstanding day. Some rankings talk. Don't follow the sheep. I'm out.